What's going on, guys? Meteorologist Jonathan Kagas back with you. We have another potential big weekend storm. This could be even more significant than the one that rolled through on Sunday. We're going to break all of that down coming up in this video. First, we're going to talk about us breaking out of this chill, and then we're really going to highlight a couple of scenarios going into the weekend. One of those is extremely concerning for the severe weather potential, so stick around for that. In the short term, though, before we get into this video, if you do want to stay updated on this storm and what likely will be a lot of storms as you roll through the winter because of El Nino, you have to hit subscribe. Please do that. We got you covered on Florida weather. If you happen to find this content helpful, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. It's a really small ask, but it does help us out a ton. So I appreciate you guys. Post in the comments where you're tuning in from. Would love to know where you're watching from the great state of Florida or beyond. All right, so Wednesday morning, we're starting to warm things up a little bit. It is still chilly for us in Pensacola, Tallahassee. We're in the low to mid 40s, mid 50s in Ocala. There you go in Orlando. We're back to the 60s and then back to the 70s for us in the Keys and for us in Miami. We are going to warm things up slowly as we get into the afternoon, back to the mid-70s in Orlando, still in the low 60s towards the Panhandle into Jacksonville area, mid to upper 70s from Fort Myers down to Key West into Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Marco Island as well. So we are going to try to warm things up, and then that gradual warm-up continues to see by Thursday morning, we are not as cold, still in the 40s and 50s, so still jacket-worthy weather in the north, but nonetheless, we're breaking out of it. The one thing I do want to say here before we get into this potential bigger storm here, and you're starting to see it roll already, it is going to be windy, and it could get really, really windy as this storm kind of develops here. What is looking like to be at some point Saturday into Sunday. Now, as we focus on this weekend storm, there is going to be some uncertainty as to the strength of the parent storm itself, and then who gets the highest impacts. We're looking at the Euro model right here, and there's a couple of interesting features, and we're going to look well up into the upper levels of the atmosphere too, because that's where it gets more interesting, and that is the main story as to how strong this thing gets and where exactly through the Florida Peninsula the main severe weather threat could play out. Here is the Euro. We kind of have like a double barrel low situation. We have the upper low kind of parked back here. We have a surface low here. Another important thing to note is that these are going to be non-tropical in nature. These are tied to the upper levels. They are tied to fronts. So even though it may look kind of tropical from the model standpoint, these are going to be strong non-tropical lows, eventually potentially turning into a nor'easter as it rides up the coast. But there's early in the morning on Sunday. Now, if it came through on Sunday like this, it would limit the severe threat, but I do want to show you one concerning thing, and it's even more concerning from a Central Florida standpoint on the GFS solution along this warm front. The deal is that I'll show you in the minute with the upper levels. We have this big upper level low, this big dip in the jet stream with strong upper level winds blasting through. At the surface, we have winds out of the south and east. That is going to induce a lot of turning of the wind with height. So that would no doubt, if this came into fruition, this would really enhance a severe weather threat even late into the evening, especially with the humidity surging back. Maybe lacking some instability. Severe weather forecasting and severe weather in general is just like making a cake. You need to have a lot of different ingredients come together for it to come into fruition. So we may not have everything because of the time frame here, but nonetheless, there's certainly enough with this pattern that has me concerned, and I'll show you that again more in just 1 second. As we look into the upper levels, that kind of really tells the story at how vigorous this system could be. Here is the GFS solution, big chunk of high pressure here. Again, our cold front from the other day is kind of hanging back here, and that's where we get this southern surface low to develop, this junk back here in Texas. That's part of it. I mean, it's going to be a kind of a weird thing. I always talk about this when we have this kind of phasing of weather features come together. It's like Power Rangers or Voltron. You're kind of putting a bunch of different lions or whatever the heck they call the Power Ranger thing. The name is, forgive me, I know that comes into, or escaping me, I should say. I know they make the Megazord. That is way off tangent, but nonetheless, you get what I'm trying to say. The pieces come together here to form a bigger system, and that's what we're going to be pinpointing over the next few days. Now, from a Central Florida standpoint, here is our main parent low. Warm front is draped across here. This is going to be Saturday at 11 o'clock. And again, note the timing difference. The European was later Saturday into Sunday. But this could be some nasty severe weather in Central Florida with a warm front draped right across, and then with strong westerly and southwesterly winds aloft as that kind of rolls through. Also note here, and the Canadian model really blows this thing up off the coast of South Carolina as well. So this thing could be like really nasty for a lot of the southeast over the next couple of days, not only for Florida, but from a Florida perspective, again, Saturday into Sunday is looking kind of rocking. It's just trying to iron out where exactly, or going into the worst of it, and just how strong this is. Regardless, the waves are going to be nuts getting into the weekend and early next week. Rip currents are going to be terrible. Could have beach erosion. Could have some coastal flooding. So all of it is on the table right now. And again, we are going to fine-tune that, of course, for you as we get closer, as we get better data. Now, we're going to fast forward out until Friday. This is the European upper-level solution, the 500 millibar chart here. So a couple of things to point out. Here is one piece of energy that we are watching, the vorticity, a little kink in the jet stream. Here's another little piece up here coming out of Canada, the Canadian Rockies, and into parts of Montana, North Dakota, and then our other little piece right down here. So we're watching three pieces coming together. This adds to kind of how complicated this is. So here's the deal on the Euro. We have the phase coming together. You saw those two become one right there. Spice Girl song. Right there from St. Louis to Minneapolis. So there's upper low, number one. Don't kill me for that either. That's terrible that I know that. Here's our other little piece down here. So this is one of the reasons why the European is on the southern side, because the main phase happened right up in here, and we still have that southern stream by itself down here. So the European is further south and not as strong because we don't have all three of those pieces coming together until maybe it gets off the coast. You kind of see that little area of red pinwheel up toward Charleston, and then it kind of do its thing as it lifts towards the northeast. Watch the difference, though, on the GFS, and then this is one of the things that we are going to try to figure out, and will figure out, but it's just a little hazy now because these pieces that come together are still way out over the unmonitored Pacific Ocean. So here we go, because it's all ocean. We don't have much upper air data out there. Piece number one, piece number two, piece number three. Watch what happens here. We have piece number three getting pulled up already into this piece, and these two have not come together just yet. So this is where the solutions are differ a little bit, really a lot, and then you see kind of all three come together right here. So that gives us a very big surface low developing right there, and that is why the GFS is the stronger surface solution between the Euro and GFS, because we have like a triple phase going on down here between three upper level pieces of energy, those three little upper lows right there. Impacts right now, way too far to pinpoint those out. Just know that it continues to look likely that there is going to be a significant storm somewhere in Florida. Most likely everybody gets impacted by this in some way, shape, or fashion by some stronger wind gusts, some heavier rain, but then there could be that heightened threat for localized severe weather. Also some beach erosion and flooding along the coast, some big waves out in the Atlantic, and then, of course, some heavy rain, some freshwater flooding as well. So we're going to be watching that closely. There's going to be a lot to iron out. Keep it here. Again, if you happen to find this content helpful as we broke this system down, please give it a thumbs up. It helps us out a lot. And if you want to stay updated again on this system and all systems going forward, it is an El Nino. We talked about that earlier. This is a byproduct of that too. We've had a very active mid-November. We had an active weekend last weekend, especially Sunday, and now we're back at it. This, unfortunately, is going to be the pattern going forward over the next couple of winter months. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, we will catch you next time.